All
May I
right.
say one thing first?
Okay.
Hmm. I've been thinking about that line, divide them dividends, get the money and dip. What is
Mm,
your opinion about it?
well, I actually have nothing on my mind at the moment besides the test, so I
Hmm.
cannot provide an opinion. Yeah.
Intriguing. It's a line from a Nicki Minaj's song, Four
See,
Door Aventador.
yeah, see, that's why I said that I'm a casual listener. I'm not like a huge fan or anything.
For me, it's like a financial lesson. Divide them dividends. It's an economic concept. And then get the money and dip. Sometimes you need to do that, right? Secure your bank accounts first.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that's a lesson for future, I guess. I'm not really considering that now.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, to start the speaking test, for the first part of the test, I'm going to ask you a few questions on different topics. So, let's talk about cafes. So, do you have a favorite cafe?
I think that I do. Um, at the moment, I really like going to Starbucks, and it's mostly because of the fact that their drinks are pretty mild, and the decor is also, visually very pleasant. I used to be a big fan of Highlands coffee, but for some reason at this age, I just can't handle how intense their coffee is. And other drinks are still nice. It's just that when I went to Highlands in the past, it was all about the coffee. But that is the only thing that I can no longer tolerate.
Mhm. So, do you often go to cafes by yourself?
I think so. I mean, I go swimming very often, and after a cathartic swimming session, I always try to recharge my batteries by spending some time in a coffee shop. A good cup of coffee can help me to feel alive again. Although I tend to stay away from Highlands coffee because that coffee again is very intense and like my energy level is like off the charts and I can't get any work done. So oftentimes I go to Starbucks or Footlong. And Footlong is also a really nice alternative from time to time, but I often go there for tea and milk tea.
Hmm. So, why do some people prefer cafes that are part of large chains rather than small local cafes?
I think that one of the essential benefits of going to like a branch of a big name is the fact that you have in a way a standardized formula. Like from my observation, big brands like Starbucks and Footlong tend to have very specific ratios with regard to the things they put in your cup. So I think that the quality is pretty stable. Whereas for your local brands or individual stores, sometimes it really depends on who that is making your drink. So it can be hit or miss. Sometimes it's great, but sometimes the flavor is pretty horrible.
Hmm. Okay, so now let's talk about traveling by plane. So, have you traveled a lot by plane?
I don't think so. I mean, the last time I went anywhere by plane was already 2 years ago, and it was for a trip to Ho Chi Minh City. I mean, it was quite a fun experience, but we were also almost late twice, which was not exactly a good sign. And all the flight experience was fine, but we did have to wait for like 2 hours because our flight was delayed.
Hmm. So, Why do you think some people enjoy traveling by plane?
Well, I think that, well, there are many reasons for that. I mean, for a lot of us, traveling by plane is not something that we do on a regular basis. So getting to do that can be, quite an exciting experience, being up in the air and seeing all the tiny houses and the traffic down below. And I guess for others, traveling by plane is also a way to show off their wealth. I mean, I don't assume that there's a difference between, sitting in business class and economy class, as far as air pressure is concerned. But if you get to, spend time in the luxury lounge, then well, it's a nice way to spend your money and feel superior to other people.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next part of the test. So in this part, you can speak for between 1 and 2 minutes. So I'd like you to describe a person from your country who has won a prize, award, or medal. Okay, so we should start now.
Okay. Truth to be told, I know next to nothing about things like this because I, don't really keep tabs on, people winning awards and prizes. But there's one person that I thought about, and that was an athlete named Anh Viên. So I guess I'm gonna put my luck to the test and talk about her. So Anh Viên is a very famous swimmer here in Vietnam. And throughout her career, she has won many medals and prizes. And I think that earlier this year, she was awarded Athlete of the Year or something like that. Essentially, there was this huge ceremony, and one of the names that were celebrated was Anh Viên. And I don't know much about this lady, to be honest, outside of the fact that apparently she is a stupendous swimmer, evidenced by the fact that she has swept virtually all of the awards that she has ever been nominated for. Or maybe that's my impression of her interactions with award ceremonies. And what I like about Anh Viên is the fact that despite being extremely famous and quite literally the top athlete in Vietnam, she still has this down to earth personality, which can be seen in her videos on TikTok and other social networking sites. Every once in a while, I see her videos and I can't help but enjoying the content that she posts on the internet. She gives us very unique insights into her daily routines, the way that she trains, and all of the fun tips and tricks that people can apply to enhance their swimming skills. And every once in a blue moon, she also kind of like brags about her awards, but in a very humorous and endearing way. So I don't see anything wrong with that. And I really hope that in the future she'll be able to, I guess, build her own company and run a successful clothing line because apparently that's something that a lot of athletes have been doing. um, after they have already, essentially scaled the heights in whatever sports that they competed in professionally speaking. So I hope that in the future we'll see her as perhaps a mogul instead of just an athlete.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So now moving on to the final part of the test, I'd like to discuss one or two general questions related to what you've been talking about. So let's talk about rewards for sports people. So, do you think that some sports people, for example, like top footballers, are paid too much money?
Mm, I think that it's quite a challenging question because I guess for a lot of people, sports stars are overrated and overpaid. And I guess they tend to reason that these individuals don't really you know do jobs that are essential to our society, like doctors and scientists. And many also feel like some of the top athletes are not even that great, but they still get very lucrative endorsement deals with brands, giving them like millions of dollars, despite the fact that they don't really need all that money for a good life or a good performance in the tournament that they compete in. But personally, I think that these sports stars are not just embodiments of athletic performances. I do agree that some of them are not exactly that good at what they do, but there's still the elites, and um, I guess what's special about them is that they can capture the attention of the masses. Maybe they don't really do that via their professional abilities, but their individual charisma, and their looks and their personality and things like that. But what is undeniable is that they have a massive following, and I think that their salary is often determined by how popular they are. Because if they can bring in lots of viewers, then there will be a lot of sponsors that would want to work with them and the team that they're playing for. And these sponsors perhaps might be willing to spend like lots of money on sponsoring the tournaments that they compete in. So I think that top athletes definitely deserve their paychecks, even when they don't exactly earn such hefty amounts of money by their own athletic abilities.
Mhm. Okay, so now on the topic of prizes and rewards, let's talk about rewards for children at school. So, what do you think are the advantages of rewarding school children for their good work?
I think that there are lots of benefits here. At the forefront, I guess rewarding children is probably the most honest and effective way of letting them know that they are appreciated and that their work is seen and acknowledged. I mean, for instance, if a student gets a really good score for a school project, I think that they should be given some sort of reward. Let's say 10 books, although that doesn't sound like an exciting prize to get, or a voucher at a bookstore or a game station. The thing is that when they get something for pulling the weight and putting in the work, they'll feel validated, and that can serve as a really strong source of motivation, which is very important because kids are very innocent. And I think that what often comes with the mentality of their age is that they want to receive acknowledgement from other people. And I think that when you reward kids, the adults themselves can also feel more responsible because in order to properly acknowledge the work of someone else, you must actually pay attention to the things that they do and select proper gifts. I mean, I'm certainly not, the most efficient person in this particular regard, by virtue of the examples that I have just provided you with. But in more professional settings and competitions, awards and prizes can really stimulate all the participants to step up their game and do the good work. And the selection of a good prize is already a sort of reflection of the organizer's abilities.
Okay, so that was it for the speaking test. Thank you very much.
All right, well then that should be it for today. There's no one else, by the way, so you can just call it a day. All right.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.